Good morning. What the fuck is up? If you don't already know, my name is Willard and this is twinkledads. The best way I can describe twinkledads is a hybrid mix between Midwest emo mixtapes on YouTube and personal advice show. Listeners send in questions, I answer them as openly and candidly as I can, and then I recommend play some songs that I believe will help you cope with your current situation and feelings. Yeah, and it's a show designed for the listener because I want it to be about you. I want you to understand that there is a safe place for what you're going through and that it's totally okay to have those feelings. If you would like to submit a question to be answered by me in a future video or podcast, please email me at twinkledad69@gmail.com. Please feel free to get as open and vulnerable and like guttural as you want. It's okay. It's a safe space. I want to honor you. Once again, please email me at twinkledad69@gmail.com. Yeah, and it could be about anything. We've already had a varied amount of topics so far. Today we will be talking about two quite heavy topics. The first being first love and first heartbreak, and then the second one being about like the inaccessibility of therapy. So that's always fun. But I'm very happy that those are the topics and questions we're kicking off the new year with. This is will be the first Twinkle Dads episode released in 2023, and it's the first one being recorded in 2023. I really hope you had a good New Year's, week of purgatory between New Year's and Christmas, and that you found a way to enjoy yourself. Last week I talked about like how because this time of the year recalls that we go to a place that we like either grew up in or we call like a home or a distant home, that maybe that's not always the best thing and that it's rough and it kind of damages the psyche a little bit to be reminded of the fact that you grew past this, yet you still have to return to it. And now we're just like, New Year's passed, ball has dropped. We're kind of moving on. And now the only thing left in front of us are the resolutions that we make and that I believe everyone silently makes. Because of course it's like a go-to joke to shit on people who are like, I want to exercise starting January 1st and never do it. But secretly we all have something inside of us that we, tell our own selves in our inner monologue, what we want to do this year and what we want to achieve. I think personally, and also just, you know, how this show is being handled is, you know, kind of invite the future that you want for yourself. That is my own resolution. That will be the overarching resolution for this show. And it might be a piece of advice helpful for you. You have the power to let people in and you have the power to let or to take people out. That sounds, I mean, you don't have the power to take them out like kill them, but like bar them from who you are. Same thing with ideologies, thoughts, concepts, habits, lifestyles, all that gist. Um, yeah, and you have the power to control your own future and destiny. And that's been a very, I think, sick part of Twinkle Dad so far is that it's very much just kind of running how a podcast that just started should run. But there has been a really funny amount of support that makes me feel confident in doing this and want to tell you, the listener, whether you're new or returning, that this open heart is all for you. Please come in. I'm inviting you, and I want to share this space with you, whether you're driving, listening on your phone, or on the computer. We share the same space together right now, and you are welcome in. Please invite me, but of course you don't have to. So yeah, that is our introduction for today. Um, how I'm going to be doing the first songs before we start answering questions is usually I'm picking something newer, like with released within the last week that I believe should get more attention. Last week was the awesome song Big Mouth by Total Downer, and today is Book of the Beast by Melaina Kol. It's for all those homies who love shit like Alex G and the Philadelphia weird stuff you find on your YouTube algorithm. So, yes, I want to play you Book of the Beast by Melaina Kol, and then we'll return for our first question. Thank you, and I love you so much. See you soon. Dear twinkledad, I don't know where to begin, or if you'll see this, or how many messages you're going to get. I live in the smallest, shittiest town ever. I'm the only person into emo that I know of in our population of 4,000, 75% of which is 30 plus year olds. I'm 17, we're in the Bible Belt, in an extremely poor town. Anyways, a guy I had a crush on since literally fifth grade and I started talking. I already thought he was really cool, but every little thing I learned about him made me fall in love with him so much more than I ever had before. I didn't know what love was before him. I didn't know who I was before him. He made me want to be better in every aspect of my life. We talked constantly. I feel so obsessive still talking about this. He broke up with me nearly 2 months ago, and we were only together for a month. It sounds so pathetic when I say it, but he was all I had ever wanted. And that month was the best month of my life. It was the first time I felt like a person had actually saw me for a person and not just a body. We broke up for stupid reasons that basically boiled down to him just not liking me as much as I liked him. But I felt like he did. And it wasn't just me being obsessive or having rose-colored glasses or whatever. I really felt like he did. No one has ever looked at me that way. He still watches my Instagram stories and we never blocked each other and I just don't fucking know. I know I should have let go. He's talking to some girl we went to high school with. I shouldn't care so much about such a short span of time in my life. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I just feel like no one really gets it. Really gets how undoubtedly in love with him I was. All my friends tell me to get over it, but I don't know how. How I'm supposed to deal with not being my perfect person's perfect person. How to be myself when I'm not with the only person who made me feel okay enough to be myself. How I'm ever supposed to like anyone else when the idea of other people disgusted me the moment I met him. How I'm supposed to unsee the million freckles in his eyes and face or unfeel him crying in my arms when he had to go home but didn't want to. How I accidentally said I love you and he said it back. How his hand fit in mine and that he didn't fucking care that I was fat or had a double chin or that I looked like shit after work and didn't care about any of the things I felt made me unlovable. How I'm supposed to get over the fact that he got me a copy of The Very Hungry Caterpillar for my birthday. How I went home and cried reading a story about a creature who eats and becomes beautiful after I spent a year starving myself so that I could be beautiful. How he closed his eyes when he listened to music. And how for the first time in my life a boy's arm around me felt like it was supposed to be there. I broke through every mental barrier I had about relationships because I wanted to be with him that bad. I don't understand why love wasn't enough. I don't know how to recover from this, how to stop being so obsessive and pathetic. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm sorry. First and foremost, you do not have to be sorry. And thank you for feeling confident enough to open up in a platform like this because it must especially be a lot. It sounds tough because from the sound of it, you are truly in a very vulnerable space, and I want to honor that. Um, I don't know if you listened to last week's episode, but the last two questions we answered were very short ones about love. I had just received this. I had just received this email maybe like a few hours before I recorded the last one, and it got me thinking about how people approach love and if there's a truly special way to approach love. Because, and from what I get from how you described it, like first loves do hold such a true power overall. Because, like you said, that just defines what you know about love and what you know about relationships. And because you don't really have an experience with loving someone in that fashion before, you don't know how intense you should get. You don't know what the correct amount of moderation for yourself or for the other party is and what we need as human beings. And that ignorance and naivety is kind of beautiful because you get to experience love like you experienced with such fresh and bright new eyes. I honor and respect the doubts that you have about how you still feel about him, or that, it was only a month. And of course, if given more time, you will probably look at this completely differently, but it's still real. Like, no matter what the pain and the heartbreak and the love that you experienced is profound. And it's like, this is a time when you're not either this is a time for in the future when you're not either utterly in love or utterly devastated, where you can look back at it and find it peaceful that you were able to experience such strong feelings. There's no heartbreak compared to the first heartbreak. I mean, maybe that's not wholly true. You could experience grief or death in your family or a horrible tragedy, but if you look at it through such a thick vacuum, this is the most profound pain. It's cool because, and I hope you kind of hinted at it, but I hope that you are learning more about yourself and how you handle breakups and how you handle, feeling this kind of sadness, this deep, vulnerable sadness. I've known people who, because of how they responded to heartbreak and a breakup the first time, that's how they got diagnosed, or that's what that led them on a specific path, because it's something you can't really expect or brace for. without just being like so riddled in anxiety. So I think, it's fair to be like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't care this much about something that essentially is just like a flash in the dark, like compared to your grand scheme of life. But it's okay. I think anyone who suggests that you shouldn't doesn't really know how to feel emotions. Like it's okay to like ride in it a little bit to feel yourself out because everyone's emotions and feelings are valid. And when your friends give you advice of just get over him. It was short. Y'all have supposedly moved on. That's not giving empathy to what you're going through right now. So I guess just kind of leading off and talking about it, thank you for opening up. And what you're going through is very much real. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. In fact, don't let yourself tell you otherwise. Because, yeah, every pain is real. And, growing up in a small town, holy shit, slim pickings. I could imagine that the future looks very, very bleak in terms of who you would love next. And that the fact that y'all aren't even like fully no contact yet, there's definitely a lot of question marks floating around in the air. But, it's chilling. You're chilling, and I believe like genuinely in good stature, even if you are just feeling miserable right now. We all have those moments. And the last thing you need is someone shitting on you about having those feelings. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it more because I just like want to like layer in advice later in the second section of me answering this question. But I'm trying to think about you said you're one of the few emos in your small town, and I was like trying to think about songs or like pieces of art in general that kind of show like how big of a microcosm the feeling of love is. First love specifically. And that, I had to rack my brain for songs that just kind of explode with the feeling of love. Not this bright, bubbly portrayal of hee hee, we're running through tulips, but the kind of weird middle ground of this is like kind of sad, but it's still poignant enough in my heart to mean something. Because that's just kind of what a lot of emo music does, less on like the pop punk side and more like on like the Midwest and the emo revival and the emo core. But yeah, I think, right now, before we give like any possible future advice, just kind of allow yourself to be heartbroken and to reminisce about what that love was like. I don't know. Do you make art? Because you could also tap into those feelings when making art. But, I would just recommend like be a bit indulgent about it. Have fun with it almost. Because trust me, and this is a general guarantee, you'll find a different and perhaps better and bigger love in the future. All humans do, as long as you're capable of loving the love that you have. And it's understandable being defeatist. So, there is no judgment or harsh ridicule here. Um, so I'm just going to play two songs right now that kind of come to mind when I think about soaking in my own feelings about heartbreak and a person soaking in their own feelings about heartbreak. The first one being a very much unsung classic by the Tacoma emo lo-fi artist TUMDUST, and it's called Moss Wall. It just, the only thing it's missing is like a sample from a movie that talks about, oh, I'm so sad. It kind of has this like bit, it's just punchy and it's reminiscent, it's nostalgic. And it's nostalgic of just wanting to love that person you're with, sitting with your legs off the moss wall. There are very cute lyrics in there, so I hope you enjoy it. And then after that is the song High on My Own Supply by Amelia, Cry Till I Die. It's a bit of a tonal shift, a lot slower, more stripped down, and it's just like achingly heartbreaking. It feels anguish. You might, if you tell your feelings to like a therapist or someone, they might, or like an elderly person, a person older than you might get hit with you sound very anguished right now. Um, and I think they kind of mean it in a slightly condescending way every time they say it, but fuck it. Reclaim the word anguish. So here are two songs to just kind of locate what the feelings are, and then I'll follow it up with giving you some advice. Once again, this is Moss Wall by TUMDUST, followed by High on My Own Supply by Amelia, Cry Till I Die. Thank you, love you, and I'll see you soon.
Here I come, coming now. You know it's been so long. take my hand. Lately I've been running over rocks in my head and picking up shifts like a delivery kid. There's no words like the words you said, and I'll pretend you never meant that.
Hello, welcome back. Before we talk about what to do about your relationship and your current heartbreak, I must ask you a question about your friends. And then this is just, general advice that I know I adhere to. Maybe it's not the healthiest thing, but it might have some merit for you. You know, when all your friends will say shit like, why can't you just get over him or just move on? Even if they're like well intentioned, they're saying very like, just end your feelings. Think about what it would be like if you said that same like 2D shallow shit to them. It would hurt their feelings, right? Right. Not you shouldn't do that, but it's more of the thing of it's kind of okay to block that out or at least recognize where you could do better and where there are other things that are just completely out of your control. So, yeah, in terms of, I think, just moving on, kind of allow yourself to figure your own self out. Not that you are alone in this current experience, but right now is truly a time for you and a time for your needs and your wants. I know you don't really express it directly, but I can sense there's a little bit of you would want to get back together with him, right? Would that be fair to assume? It sucks that I can't really hear your voice back because, I don't know, it just sounds condescending the way I did it. But, there's definitely still an inkling of hope. Y'all haven't even blocked each other. He still looks at your stories, and there's still clearly the presence of love. But if you're thinking, if you get presented the opportunity of you to returning to relationship form again, I want you to look back at why he broke up or why he ended things in the first place. Think about the reason that he that he said and that he felt that he wasn't as into it as you were. Now, truly, how much of that is true? And I know what you said about without rose-colored glasses or hyping everything up, that you definitely felt that there was more middle ground than he was suggesting in the breakup. But give yourself time to recognize how you might have fucked up. I think everyone fucks up in relationships, so it's okay if you make one fuck up or 10. And think about if those are behaviors that are kind of clear mistakes that you can change quickly, like then maybe it'll be safe to return in a relationship. But if they are instead things that you kind of had no control over because, simply put, when you're a young teen and you experience love for the first time, you're not going to have the maturity to carry yourself around, and that's fine. That's a given. Everyone's at fault for that, but it's truly not a bad thing at all. Yeah, and if ask yourself, would you be mature enough to carry on a relationship with him, even if he is all who defines what love is to you right now? Could you actually do it? I will say how you phrased things. His current stance, still watching your stories, not going no contact, that there is mutual ground in liking each other, is kind of weird. I could definitely sense that he may also be going through an emotionally tumultuous time. That it's a different state of vulnerability than you're going through right now. All I know is that if the stars do align and y'all feel like returning back together, that just be wary about your own emotional vulnerability in contrast to his. And that if you're both people who need to be nurtured, maybe it's best to prioritize the nurturing of yourself instead of another person. And like I said before, it doesn't really help that you're in a small town. And that it definitely seems that the future doesn't get brighter. But I could almost guarantee that it does. And it will. A way to look at all this going on is that you experienced something great, something that made you feel outside of your own body, and then because of the breakup, you feel the exact opposite. You feel like you're just fucking idle at the bottom of a well, not moving, crushed by water. And that, it's understandable to not know what the future is like. But, I would recommend getting excited about what the future can hold. There's a really good chance, not to downplay y'all's relationship, but there's a really good chance you will experience a love 10 times greater than this. A love that is actually unique in itself, that isn't going to play out how your previous relationship did. You will just get to experience truly one of the greatest feelings. And that's awesome, right? You could if you want an easier time to let go of him and to get in the mindset of finding a person who's greater, think about shitty things that he did that, you're like, oh, I was uncomfortable with it. I still loved him, but maybe it was a bit toxic or unhealthy, and if those are deal breakers, then be like, fuck yeah. I might see somebody at work and it's just like, oh my goodness, I'm in love with you. Or there will be something natural that will happen. So yeah, I would say, kind of keep your head up and allow yourself to think about these things. Allow yourself to just construct and build paths and entryways into how you're going to approach everything next. In terms of actions, like I said, just kind of give yourself the respect that you need and only allow in people who respect those needs. You know, which is kind of leaning towards maybe not get back together and just like tell your friends your boundaries about everything. But yeah, I think that would definitely be a move in the positive direction. I think as long as you keep your confidence and your head up, you will be moving into a positive direction. You know, it's going to look bleak a good amount of time, but that's okay. That is just life. And it's kind of cool that we're able to experience such horrible sadness and such excited happiness. Yeah, also, I mean, before I play the next two songs, but to answer, that's how to not feel so pathetic about it. In terms of not being obsessive, I mean, yeah, like, like what I just said, just kind of break down your ideal, your mental image of your ex into a grounded, realistic portrayal, and recognize bad actions that you know that you deserve better than. And I would also always, in any situation that ends like this, would suggest no contact because it sounds harsh, and I understand that neither of you would probably not want to speak to each other, quote unquote, ever again. But it truly does wonders. Like, it gives y'all the space to think and assess everything. And that's like, it feels like going no contact or just kind of like setting up a wall could give both of y'all the nurturing that y'all need and y'all deserve. Even though you feel pathetic, you are not pathetic. And genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for sending in this question and opening up. That takes a lot. That does, I feel like, takes a lot of strength to just email a complete stranger about that. But you're good. If you can do that, you can do anything. I'm genuinely wishing you the best, and I hope you are well, and that even through times of darkness, you'll get through it. You'll power it through, champ. So the next two songs are both, because they're the ones that make the most sense to me. Both of them are emo revival bands that have much bigger songs that are always used when talking about first love, but they aren't the best when assessing the situation. And so the first one is Smell California from the DC band, the Obsessives. And I would recommend listening to Daisy if you want to get too like sulking into your emotions and feelings. But Smell California is just, I don't know why people don't fucking talk about it, because of its emotional capacity, because of its chorus, and just like kind of like the angst. It is a climax song. It is the climax of the song, of the sequence songs I'm giving you. It kind of feels like it comes from the heart. And plus, the idea of smelling California that is talked about is a sense of escapism. And you deserve a sense of escapism, even if it is just an exaggerated portrayal of what you're going through right now. And then to end it off is the very sweet and lovely She Dreams of Melting Rocks by Hightide Hotel. It's all about, the ending refrain is nothing's made sense like that made sense since. And it's about, making out in like a high school basement, and, after first love, nothing will make more sense like that made sense since. Welcome to a new world of love and heartbreak. And that no matter what, you are strong and you will go through and you'll find the greatest love you need and deserve. I hope this was of some help, but if it wasn't, that's fine. That's okay. All I know is that I'm sending my hearts to you in these two songs. Then afterwards, the next question. Thank you, and I love you. See you soon. Smell California by the Obsessives, and She Dreams of Melting Rocks by Hightide Hotel. Bye bye.
driving around your hometown with all four windows down. Well, I've been watching the odometer and thinking about geography and the couple thousand miles of barren country constantly dividing you and me and hiding out in the basement where we used to make out and constantly complain about the circumstances we found ourselves in when we were just two kids, both just too proud to admit just how fortunate we were to have come across each other.
Dear twinkledad, I feel fucked. I've been in the process of looking for therapy that is little to no cost without insurance, and no option is actually sustainable. Even worse, when filling in assessments to find therapy programs, I keep on getting rejected and or redirected to crisis lines since I've had suicidal thoughts and self-harm patterns in the past. It's demoralizing. It's like they don't want to offer you actual help beyond locking you up for situations that aren't even relevant to you now. What do I do? How do I feel okay about this? Thank you. Like, of course, I'm very sorry that you're going through this because holy fuck. Yeah, I think it's funny being it, it's funny just being involved in this world of like looking for therapy, especially I don't know which demographic you are. I I believe we're around the same age, or we should be. So like no 30-year-old's going to send in a message, at least not yet. Um, but you probably have seen like all over politics and like media that there's like a lot of like left-leaning activists who believe in destroying the system. It could be police, it could be school system, because they always like inherently oppress. Like they're meant to oppress identities, you know. And you can take a pick at which one, because every system in that sense is just fucked, especially the police system. But during this time, there's never really talk about like mental health intersectionality and how like the therapy system is just kind of designed to bully those who are at their most vulnerable. Um, what comes in mind, and I think it falls in line of just like getting redirected to crisis lines, is just like how a lot of schools and workplaces have mandatory reporting set up, especially if you believe that a person is at risk of taking their own life or taking another person's life. And I think because of it, it doesn't really offer like a welcoming place for those to talk about their problems. Like, if you get like if you get mandatorily reported or whatever, you're just kind of talked down upon. The crisis lines, they're not going to be saying shit like, okay, we understand. Here's your feelings. Here's a trauma therapist that we can help you with. They're like, no, you're sick. Fucking text this number so you can get like a poor, like part-time worker who really does not have the mental energy to get invested in your own shit to help you out. Like, of course, if that's like any help. Because, I mean, it isn't, but I do think a lot of it is because they're like this, the world of therapy hasn't really been around that long, at least long enough to like have like nuanced conversations about it. I just recall a story that I touched upon in the prologue episode of Twinkledads when the person who ran the mental health board for my old college, told me that like like was possible to talk openly about mental illness. No one knows how yet, which is like such a fucking stupid thing to say. Like, don't say the first part then. I digress, but it's just that attitude because I think what really costs lives is what you're being put through right now. You're just simply reaching out for help, and automatically they kind of other you into believing that your feelings aren't justified or believing that you're too much of a quote unquote nutcase for actual help. Um, and I feel like a universal experience is for anyone who has like ever been in therapy before. Yeah, like the therapist will always like pose themselves with things like, "Hey, how are you doing today? Is everything going well? What's going wrong? You can tell me, but if you ever think about killing yourself, you're fucked. So what's the matter, Sugar Plum?" Like the tonal switch, but I get it right now. Like it's really in a gray area. So no wonder why people immediately go to putting those who are vulnerable as liabilities. I get that. I would do that to everyone who's vulnerable. I'm kidding. But the point, like, still stands. So I think I just want to ask you. I don't know if I necessarily have like true advice, but I do have songs, and then I mean we'll talk about like why I picked what I picked. But really all I can say to you is just ask you another question. Why are you entering therapy? Is it for you or is it for other people? Because I think where the therapeutic system that bullies and demeans the mentally ill like comes at fault is just by pressuring people into telling these therapists their problems and making them feel more of a subject than just like another human being in a correspondence. I get like the therapist patient like dynamic is still going to be present throughout, but you recognize that you can like stare this person in the eyes and just be like, we are equal. Like we are equal in some sense. Maybe not like mental health wise, but nothing sucks more than being told that you aren't a human compared to other humans. And that's like what you're going through, like what they're doing to you inadvertently does to countless numbers of people. And they still just kind of do jack shit about it. And, with insurance too, it's not like the US healthcare system is helping you out. No. So I think, if it is going in for yourself, realize that it might actually be a little bit more harm than waiting until you're ready. Because I feel like if you go in there with the power of openly communicating to the therapist and figuring stuff out, then it could like help like bring down to earth that what you're feeling is true and what you're feeling actually makes sense and is real, opposed to what you're feeling is crazy and you're crazy because you're not crazy. No one's really crazy, truly. It's just that's the label that people and especially therapists and all those high end like mental superiors do. And so, like, I don't know. Hopefully, in the future, like that shit doesn't fly, but we'll see. So I'm just going to ask you that, and then I'm going to play you three songs that all kind of cover different ground. It's a bit disorienting and blitzing, like the combination of the three, but I feel like that's how I would describe what you're going through: disorienting and blitzing and demoralizing. So, because it's like, what the fuck should you do now? So I want to play these three songs, and then I think just wrap up this question and also talk about like how therapy in this conversation as like someone who has like done advice columns before, like how that just kind of shapes everything. Because it's a funny and like weirdly complicated situation that no one really talks about. There isn't really literature covering it. So yeah, we'll just shoot the shit on that. But first, the songs. I'm opening up with a Scram song from the band Knumears. It's called Wish I Was. It's from an EP that they just dropped, I want to say a week ago, 2 weeks ago, December 22nd. Yes. And was that a week ago? I don't know. But it's funny because the like Scrams is alive. There might be a good chance you don't know what Scrams is. It's like this like butchered type of screamo that's like rooted from emotional hardcore and post-hardcore, but it's like a lot more twinkly. You've probably listened to Midwest Pen Pals. It's like that, but harder, if that makes sense. And I feel like the genre in of itself is pretty limiting, but recently there's been like an insurgence of a lot of southern United States bands, and also like one Northeast band that comes to mind that has just been like have been like, yeah, we're Scrams and we want to make it good again. It's sick. Like it's just fresh to see people having fun with it. Because of that, I mean, Knumears is the one that comes to mind because it's like leaning towards Touche Amore, but it's good. The lyrics are good, the screams are good, and it's just young and fresh. But shout out other bands like Versus Self from Vegas, Widow Dusk, Party Hats from Denton, Texas, and then the Northeast band Catalyst from Providence, Rhode Island. They're sick, and I feel like, they bring the crossover of, all the kids who got into Title Fight a little bit too late and realize that they do like stuff that leans more on the heavier end. So we're going to open up with Wish I Was, which I think might be one of my favorite tracks of the year. And then following that is maybe the best thing to come out of 2022. If you don't know, Counterintuitive Records does 12 Days of Prince Daddy every year, where they get cool musicians to cover Prince Daddy's songs. And somehow this year they got Matt and Kim, who played that, like, I forgot what the song, yeah, like the fucking, what 2005 millennials used to listen to. They got big off that. They covered Shoelaces off the new Prince Daddy album, which, once again, if you don't know, is fully the song about Corey's experience in the psych ward, which is fucking insane. Matt and Kim doing the psych ward Prince Daddy song. And I like it because I think it's a good fit of them doing Shoelaces because, you have all this talk, heavy subject, but you have Matt and Kim doing it. So there's a bright poppy feel to it. It's kind of feel good. It is like addicting to listen to. So can't wait to play that for y'all. And then will be ending it with Video Pricks Get Me Out, which is just unfettered energy. They're a hardcore punk band from Seattle. The dude will the lead singer has jumped off balconies before in the middle of the stage. He will put his shirt over his head and just strangle himself with the microphone cord while doing all these just crazy vocals. Very fast hardcore punk. When I saw him, he threw a crutch at a kid, specifically the kid who had the crutch. So yeah, I feel like just the energy and like the confusing vibes all together and individually is a good way to start this off. So yeah, here we have it. Wish I Was by Knumears. followed by Shoelaces by Madam Kim, originally by Prince Daddy, and If I Can Get Me Out by Video Prick. Then we'll talk more. Thank you, and I love you. See you soon.
Thinking of what things could have been. Everything I've said and done feels like a path to my own demise.
You hit the right one. Keep it going. Good dreams scare me way more lately. Make this rotten heart weak as soon as I wake up. Bad dreams just tend to remind me of the time in between waking up and going back to bed. Shoelaces and headphones, like forever ago. I'll see you when I get home. Strip me down, check my weight, compare it to yesterday. Won't be happy either way. hardship and hurdles. We sat in a circle, focus on right now. And you might not feel this forever, but forever is so far away. Good dreams scare me way more late. We make this rotten heartbeat as soon as I wake up. Bad dreams just had to remind me of the time in between waking up and going back to bed. 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 Waking up and going back to bed.
I think we nailed it.
Welcome back. Weren't all of those songs fucking sick? They're good. They personally get me entertained, and this is like the only context where I know someone else would at least be like, "Fuck yeah, all three of those make sense." Good energy. I'm gonna keep this last part short. Sorry for kind of cutting off the pace of this episode, because there isn't like really like much to talk about without just fully just rambling on. Um, and it's funny too because truly in like the advice column world, in the emo world, in the fucking therapy world, and in general, where truly I wish there could just be like more understanding in conversations like these. And it's kind of weird. Personally, not as Twinkledad, but instead Willard, the host of Twinkledad, getting questions like these, as you could imagine, it's just kind of it because you have to locate where you are on the subject before handling another person's like issues, like very openly, and I'm very thankful you shared it. But it's funny because you just like answer it and you're like, fuck, yeah, you're right. You are totally right. And there is nothing to really do about it. But at the same time, I think it's just, it's affirming. It's affirming for me, and I like want it to be affirming to you because like I know so far in Twinkle Dads, no matter no matter the struggle buses I've been writing, kind of being able to have people like open up about where they're struggling as well is just kind of like affirming. And it's beautiful because it's just like, even if I know I don't talk about it, I'm thankful that you're able to talk about it. And it's this, sense of comfort. And for the therapy thing, you know, that sense of comfort might be the only thing we have right now until we die or until we're like 60 or 50, because mental health intersectionality doesn't really exist. It should. And, I believe it will. It's just going to take a lot of hard work and putting issues at the forefront that aren't usually given attention. And it's hard right now with everything going on in the world to do so. So, like, please just keep your head up. You got this. I wish I could hug you genuinely, because it's okay to feel defeated by it. They do defeat you. It's designed to defeat you. But the power of human emotion, and I think human capability, is that you're able to just kind of like destroy the system. You're able to just say fuck you to it because you care about yourself, and you're not going to let other people tell you how to feel and treat you like you aren't a human with power. So, yeah, like, I wish you the best. And I think, I don't know how many people would like listen to it this far, but like, once again, I mean, thank you, thank you, thank you. Truly, all the gratitude. Because, yeah, life gets hard, and I think life is difficult a lot. That's not a profound statement by any means. But just thank you. You matter. You do matter. And you make me feel like I matter just being here. And so that's like a very peaceful feeling to have. It's late. Now, before we head off, and I'll remind again, in case you're a new listener or whatever, please submit questions if you feel oh so inclined to twinkledad69@gmail.com, and I will for a fact answer them. It might be on the upcoming week's episode. It might be a few episodes away, depending on how many questions we get. Because this is a show designed about the listener, and I want it to be about you. It should be about you, and a bit of the fear is like, when there is no you, it's not going to be about me, and it shouldn't be about me. So I want to just establish that. Take care of yourself. Let 2023 be about you, your life, and your future. Let it be about who you want to invite in and all the potential that you can essentially seed so that it grows into something beautiful. You're going to have a good 2023. I know it. Once again, if you'd like to send in a question, twinkledad69@gmail.com. If not, I get it. No harm, no foul, no judgment. Let's end this episode off and kick off 2023 and what it holds for Twinkle Dads, you and I, with two songs that just, I feel like, capture a feeling. To me, they both capture the feeling of like feeling your heart like dust away, like, in Avengers when they all become dust like that, letting your heart just like expand into the air into a million different particles. Just moving on. So the two songs that we will be ending off before I hopefully see you next time, they are, let me pull them up. They are Toby, Take a Bow by Casiotone for the Painfully Alone, and then Tears by Knifeplay from their Audio Tree session, because it just feels perfect and suitable. Thank you. I hope you're doing well, and take care. See you later, alligator. I love you.
Bottom of a Russian novel. Gold medal
again and a frown. I'm maladjusted and clever, the greatest Smiths fan ever.